2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Wednesday halfway through the week. It makes you happy. It makes me happy. We are ready to rock and roll. Welcome in, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas. On the Big Talker, KQAM is the flagship out of Wichita, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming online at HooserReason.com. We have the stream up on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, plus the Podbean live stream. We are literally everywhere, which means there's no reason why you can't find us, unless, of course, they don't want you to find us. And I've still had some weird messages over the last few days that people can't find the live stream until it's like halfway over or 3/4 of the way over. So that's kind of strange. I don't know. We'll continue to look into it, but there's not much we can do if social media doesn't want us to be there. But it's a Wednesday. Great to have you along for the ride today. We have a lot to get to coming up at the bottom of the hour. We're going to be chatting with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District of Ohio to talk about the United States Postal Service. I'm still baffled by that. Who would have thought that the post office would be the topical issue, the focal point for the general election of 2020? Who would have thought the post office would be? Now, of course, they're saying that they're holding off on any of the changes that they were discussing of doing. The discussion of changing things, removing processing machines across the nation, that's been something that's been going on for a while and that they've been planning on for a while before the whole COVID thing. So, to blame that on Trump, of course, blame it on Trump. He's just trying to tie the hands of the post office so that way we have a fraudulent election while he's complaining about concerns of a fraudulent election. Makes a lot of sense, right? So, that's changed. So we'll talk with Bob Latta about that. We'll also talk about the re-entrance of school and the reopening of schools across the nation. Should we be opening schools? Again, we'll talk about some of that and more coming up at the bottom of the hour with Congressman Bob Latta. Until then, I am quite fascinated by the Democrat National Convention. How about you? How much of it have you actually watched? Now, I've watched a little bit here and there. Haven't paid a whole lot of attention to the entire thing. I really don't want to because I really don't want to raise my blood pressure up. It's already high up enough. I don't need to continuously raise it. So I've watched some of it. I find it hysterical that they had, imagine this. Imagine, if you will, a party and a movement that is so angry at the world, that you cannot dress in a Halloween costume because it's culturally appropriating a certain culture if you wear that, right? They've told us that many times. Children can't wear the costume of Elsa if they're a different color. They can't wear a costume of Moana if they're a certain color because that's culturally appropriating. They're the ones that have said that you can't do yoga if you're a white person because that's culturally appropriating the Indian cultures in India over there. Across the world. You cannot wear blackface because it's very insensitive. All of these different cultural appropriations, the quote-unquote microaggressions that we talk about in society, you can't do these things. This is the side that says that everything to some degree is insensitive and that by genetics, we are just racist. We judge people because they're different based on our skin color or our sexual orientation or because of our gender. By genetics, we can't do anything about it. They teach that in college, by the way. There's nothing you can do to try and get rid of your racism. It is born and ingrained into your DNA. This is the side that says all this garbage, right? Do you realize what happened yesterday at the Democrat National Convention with Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, right? She spoke at the Native American Caucus Summit meeting. Oh, yeah. Now, I tried to pull the audio, wasn't able to find the audio, wasn't able to find the actual interview, but I saw the news stories where she talked about the tribes and she talked about how bad Trump was, and they allowed her to speak at the Native American Caucus. Think about that for a second. The side that says everything is insensitive and that if you try and eat a taco as a white person, you're culturally appropriating and that you're insensitive to Hispanic individuals. This is the side trying to shush Joe Biden, the presidential candidate, because black people are less culturally diverse than Hispanic people in Hispanic communities. That's the side right now that are trying to say Republicans are Nazis, Republicans are insensitive, Republicans hate Hispanics or black people or whatever because we're a bunch of racists. And Donald Trump's the ultimate racist. We never had to fight against a racist president before, right? That's what they say. And yet they invite Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, to go speak at the the Native American Caucus. I find that fascinating. It's our entertainment value, and you need to sit back and enjoy this because I sense absolute desperation on their side. And it proves it, too. I don't know if you've realized or not, the ratings on TV show that no one's watching this thing. I mean, a few people are watching it, but not enough to win an election, for sure. According to TVinsider.com, if you've paid attention to these, the ratings yesterday, or on Monday was it, doesn't matter, America's Got Talent, which I'm a fan of America's Got Talent. It's a great show. There's a lot of fun stuff. Please don't, by the way, just a little side note, my little rant on America's Got Talent. Don't bring singers on there. You have singing competitions. Don't bring them onto America's Got Talent. Do other things. The magicians, the acrobats, the comedians, the crazy people that do crazy stuff. You're just like, wow. Don't do the singing. And then, of course, it's the sob story of, I lived in my car for the last year just to get on the show, and I'm going to sing for you. And then they get the golden buzzer. That's annoying to me. But if they actually have true talent and they don't sing, then I'm all for it. I love it. Anyways, they ranked number one on the ratings for TV at 5.5 million viewers. Do you know where the Democrat National Convention was? Which I'm sure they're televising it all over the place because they want everybody to watch this. Their encouragement of, go vote for Joe Biden. Do you realize how many viewers they had on TV? They've had 2.3 million. 2.3 million. America's Got Talent, a ridiculously, just no politics, no nothing, just gloss over and just zone out to the TV, got over double what the Democrat National Convention got. Now, if you're trying to raise and hoorah and create a rally and create a movement for individuals to go out and vote and get pumped up to go vote for Joe Biden, it ain't working. It ain't working. And the fact that their big hoorah, their big success rate so far has not been the progressives embracing and the fact that the extreme left fringe is actually working and excited and embracing this movement. It's the fact that they're inviting more Republicans over to endorse Joe Biden to try and weed out Donald Trump. That's their big win that's all over the headlines right now. Drudge Report has it all plastered all over because Drudge Report, for some reason, just loves Joe Biden right now, just despises Donald Trump. The media, look at this, more Republicans coming out and endorsing Joe Biden over Donald Trump. If that's their big win, that means they don't have anybody supporting them within their own party, so they're trying to reach out to get new people into the party because they don't have any support right now. Again, You got to sit back and laugh at this. You got to sit back and just enjoy and use it as the comic relief that it actually is. The fact that the ratings on TV stink. Donald Trump's press conferences on a daily basis get more viewers than what the Democrat National Convention has gotten so far. Think about that for a second. Because that's where we're at today. They realize that they're sinking. I think. They refuse to let the progressives take hold. They do, but they don't. They want the presence there, but they don't want them to be the main base of the party. They want them to be a fringe. Oh, yeah, sure. Burn down the cities. Do what you want. But at the same time, when it comes down to voting, that's really a bad precedent. We should probably bring in the law and order types. The Dick Durbin, the Nancy Pelosi, the John Kerry, the Bill Clinton. Vote for Joe Biden. All right, I'm going to attack the president that got impeached like I did. That's what they've come to. And they did allow some of the progressives a speech. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren got to speak at the Native American caucus. I can't say that without laughing. I think it's hilarious. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, there has been some weird attacks on AOC and the media actually went after her too, which was really strange for this one. But they attacked her for endorsing Bernie Sanders to be able to have him come to the convention appropriately. Now, the way the process actually works, you want to hear the whole speech? The whole speech was a very long one. AOC, she had a lot to say. She had to use a teleprompter. You could see it in her eyes. She had to read it in a teleprompter. She had a minute. Or a minute and a half, really. She spoke for a minute and 36 seconds, and she had to use a teleprompter for it because apparently she can't wing something like that. But she ended up endorsing Bernie Sanders and bringing him and his delegates to the caucus, which there's a reason for that, and there's a process for that, and we'll discuss that in just a second. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her big moment of fame that all the progressives were excited about, she had a whole minute and 36 seconds, and this is what she had to say.
Good evening, bienvenidos. And thank you to everyone here today endeavoring towards a better, more just future for our country and our world. In fidelity and gratitude to a mass people's movement working to establish 21st century social, economic, and human rights, including guaranteed health care, higher education, living wages, and labor rights for all people in the United States. A movement striving to recognize and repair the wounds of racial injustice, colonization, misogyny, and homophobia, and to propose and build reimagined systems of immigration and foreign policy that turn away from the violence and xenophobia of our past. A movement that realizes the unsustainable brutality of an economy that rewards explosive inequalities of wealth for the few at the expense of long-term stability for the many, and who organized a historic grassroots campaign to reclaim our democracy. In a time when millions of people in the United States are looking for deep, systemic solutions to our crises of mass evictions, unemployment, and lack of health care, en el espíritu del pueblo, and out of a love for all people, I hereby second the nomination of Senator Bernard Sanders of Vermont for President of the United States of America.
All right, there it is. Bernard Sanders. I second the motion for Bernard Sanders. Now, there's a reason for it, and many individuals may not understand the process of this, but there's actually a reason why she had to second the motion, is that Bernie Sanders was able to gain enough delegates in order to get to the convention to be able to potentially contest. And it's a whole process of what you actually have to do in the deal. She had to motion him, someone had to first it, she had to second it, and then he can actually be a quote-unquote active candidate at the delegation in order to hand off his delegates to Joe Biden, so that way, boom, it's all happy hunky-dory. So there's a reason for it, but you could have done it a little bit better way. Now, she did go on Twitter, and she could have endorsed Joe, and she did endorse Joe Biden, said, I'm excited for you to run for president, whatever else she said. But there's a better way to do that, isn't there? Think about it for a second. You're trying to unite the party right now. And just listening to that speech, boy, this world stinks. Boy, this country's terrible. Boy, there's just there's misogyny going on. There's racism going on. There's sexism going on. There's homophobia going on. There's everybody hates everybody in this country. And she's working to make that a better place. There's just so many bad things happening right now. So that's why she seconds the motion for Bernie Sanders to be an active candidate at the convention, so that way he can hand off his delegates over to Joe Biden. You could have done it a better way and said, you know what, I second the motion, but then have a little bit more unifying message. A little bit. Maybe to say, yeah, I second the motion, but I'm excited for the victor to come out and be able to win against Donald Trump or something. To say, yeah, here's the nomination so he can be active, but you know what? We need to get behind Joe Biden. She didn't do that. She took her moment to do an AOC-ism like she always does so well. To say something ridiculously stupid that's completely incoherent, that makes no sense whatsoever, and then feel really good about it, and her crowd's like, oh, yeah, she did great. Oh, yeah, all right. There you go. I guess she got her minute and a half of fame. Good for her. We'll talk about some more of that when we come back. It's the voice of reason. It's a Wednesday. We have a lot to get to with the DNC. Day number 3 going away. Kamala Harris speaking tonight. We'll see how well that turns out, and we'll do some speculation on that one. All coming up here on the voice of reason. Stay tuned.
The voice of reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the voice of reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the voice of reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, you are. Welcome into it. 24 minutes past the hour. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. Trying to cram 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. We're trying. It's difficult, but we do what we can. Appreciate you hanging out. You can always email us, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. So, by the way, if you're on social media, do me a favor. Like the social media pages, the YouTube. Right now we're trying to build the YouTube, which is really awesome. We are growing a lot of subscribers on there, and our numbers on the views are going up, so we appreciate that. Just find us on YouTube at Hooser Reason. You can subscribe. You can get notified whenever we're live. You can watch all the shows on the past shows. And now that we're starting to do more Skype interviews and actually have video feeds of them, then if you're on radio, then obviously you can still hear them nice and loud and clear. And actually, it almost sounds better than the phone lines. But for the most part, sometimes, most of the time. But you can also see the video feeds for a lot of our guests on there as well, as we begin to do that more and more frequently. And it's pretty awesome. We are on TV stations as well. So thank you for checking us out, no matter where you may be. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole DNC thing. It's not rallying anybody. And in fact, they're reaching out to the wrong crowd. They're trying to shun the progressives by giving AOC a minute and a half to speak when you have Bill Clinton speaking for like 20 minutes. You have Michelle Obama speaking for however long, and they're not saying anything. Like, I love political conferences. I'm all about going to the Conservative Political Action Conference. I'd love to go to the Republican National Convention one of these days, and I will one of these days. I would love to go to these things because it refuels your political hoorah. It makes you feel really good. And I get it, this year's a little weird, so sometimes you really can't. And Donald Trump's played this extremely smart. This entire week, he has rallies lined up in different parts of the country the exact same night as them. And guess what? He's getting just as many, if not more, followers and views on Facebook or on social media or the streaming for his rallies as what the Democrat National Convention is. And they're on TV. And with only 2.5 million people watching on TV, if that's what the voter turnout's going to look like, it's not going to be pretty for Democrats. They're shunning the progressives. They're embracing Republicans coming over, and that's not winning over the Democrat Party. They're trying to show this whole thing of unity while they're shunning the people that they've created. They're trying to shun their own Frankenstein. It's not even Frankenstein, it's the young Frankenstein, if you remember that one. Because it's goofy. It's weird. They've created this monster of the young generation doing really dumb things, and now the young generation wants to have a say in the leadership, and they're shunning it while they're trying to embrace the establishment, while they're trying to embrace Republicans that are frustrated, the 0.5% of Republicans that are frustrated coming over. They don't know what to do right now, and I find it hysterical, but doing it the streaming, doing it with the preloaded speeches, it's not doing them any favors. Now, the Republicans are fired up. After years of abuse, after years of the Democrats coming after us, after years of the media shunning us, after the years of them dismissing us and trying to attack Donald Trump every step of the way, eventually it gets old even for the Democrats. You remember the Mueller hearings? Remember the Kavanaugh hearings? Remember how elongated they were, and it was the way for the Democrats to sit up and grandstand and rail against Brett Kavanaugh, to rail against Donald Trump, to rail against Russian collusion, to rail against X, Y, and Z. It was their grandstanding. Democrats faded away. They zoned out. They turned it off because they didn't want to listen to it any longer, which is why things like America's Got Talent more than doubles the ratings on TV than the Democrat National Convention. They're not excited. The only excitement they have is pure hatred, and how long can you hold on to that? I get hatred you can hold on to for a long time. I get it. But how long can you possibly continuously feel it before you get exhausted? You know the big breakup that you have with your significant other? You have the breakup, you're steaming, you're mad, they cheated, they lied, they did whatever, you're steaming, and then after like a year, you're like, all right, you know what, I've come to terms with it, and you moved on. You're still like not agreeing and okay and accepting or forgiving sometimes, but you've moved on. The anger, the emotions faded away. This has been 4 years of them finally, hopefully beginning to trickle away and be like, I got the fatigue, man. I'm exhausted. And I think that's not going to bode well for them. When we come back, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District will get his thoughts on some of the latest going on. Plus, Kamala Harris speaking tonight. What does she need to do? They're saying this is going to be the biggest speech that she's ever given. We'll do that when we come back.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with The Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out today on a Wednesday. Appreciate it very much as it's the middle of the week. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. By the way, just a little teaser for you. Coming up at the end of the week on Friday, Mark Latta, the head communications director for President Trump's campaign, he'll be joining us on the program. Looking forward to that one tomorrow. We've had her on the show before, Karen Page with the Kansas Global Trade Services, giving in the latest update on some of the tariffs going on in the nation for many businesses and a potential secondary shutdown of the economy this fall due to COVID-19. That'll be kind of tricky, so we'll talk about that coming up tomorrow on the show as well. We have great guests. We're still like 2 weeks booked out on the program, which is cool. We love having everybody on and getting their thoughts on all the latest and greatest in the world, so make sure to stay tuned in as we try to keep it fresh for you, baby. With so many great things going on, including what's going on today with Congressman Bob Latta. We sat down with him earlier today from the 5th District of the state of Ohio, talking about the reopening of schools, talking about the COVID-19 relief, and talking about the United States Postal Service and more. It's Congressman Bob Latta. Congressman Bob Latta hanging out with us again here. Congressman, how are you, my friend?
Excellent. It's a beautiful day here in Northwest Ohio, and every day is a good day.
Every day is a great day, and I appreciate it very much with you jumping on. There's a lot to talk about. You guys are about ready to head back up to Washington, D.C., but it's not to talk about any COVID relief bills right now. It's only to focus on the U.S. Postal Service, which I'd have to admit I never thought the USPS would be a topical issue going into a general election, but yet here we are. So what are you guys working on when you guys get back to Washington, D.C. in the next few days?
Well, first, in Northwest Ohio, we've had problems. It's not with your local carrier. It's not with our local post office. It's been an issue with what we call Metroplex, which is up in Michigan where our mail goes to. And we've had real issues with absentee ballots not getting delivered and getting lost up there. And so we're working on those issues for the last 4 years. But the Democrats are politicizing really what's been going on now. They're trying to make it sound like the president doesn't want people's votes to get cast. But here in Ohio, we have, absentee voting that it's very liberal for people to be able to do, but you have to request it. What the president's talking about is this carte blanche sending a ballot out to everybody in a state, and good luck making sure there's no fraud there. But Pelosi and the Democrats are trying to politicize it. They put out, there's so many crazy myths out there. One of the things I even heard from going out there is saying, oh, people's Social Security checks aren't going to deliver. They always fall back on that one. But let's go back to the Obama administration, which required over 99.14% of Americans have to have it direct deposited. So it's a real political issue. They want $25 billion. And here's the crazy thing, again, dealing with the Democrats. Mm-hmm. They want to have a bill for $25 billion without a hearing. We don't. Oh, by the way, it's next week we're going to have a hearing with the Postmaster General. So they want to pass. They want the money now, and then they figure out how they're going to spend it later.
Wow. It's always political, and they find the best ways to be able to twist it, manipulate it, because all we're hearing from the news is that Donald Trump wants to overhaul the USPS system. He wants to change the system right before the election. He wants voter fraud apparently to continue on and for ballots to be missing and for the USPS to be overwhelmed, so that way he can prove that voter fraud is actually happening. And for what you're saying, that's not the case at all.
Well, look at some other facts. From a 5-year period during the Obama administration, one of the things that happened, all of those blue postal boxes they're setting out there, 14,000 of those were taken away. There was a story in the Washington Post, that great conservative newspaper out there, that pointed out that in a 20-year period leading up to the year 2009, 200,000 boxes disappeared. They weren't needed. So, the Democrats are trying to play on people's fears, and they're saying that, this new Postmaster General is under the president's thumb. He'll do whatever he wants. But they don't point out that the 10-person board that selected him, which is half Republican, half Democrat, and oh, by the way, the vote was 10-0 for him.
Wow. Well, of course, we don't get that type of information in the media. So do you think that we're going to have a solid system come the general election, or is there going to be this concern lingering because it's been so politicized now that going into a general election that we could potentially see ballots end up missing or potential voter fraud?
Well, again, what the Postmaster General said yesterday, said, hey, listen, with all of this stuff out there in the media, he's not going to implement any changes until after the election. But one of the problems that we do have, it really comes down to, is that, again, the issues that we've had with the Metroplex up in Michigan, where our mail goes to, that, we've had in Defiance County, one of my western counties, in 2016, absentee ballots weren't being delivered. They sent a second batch of absentee ballots out, and oddly enough, they got delivered both batches on the same day then. To this day, the post office cannot, this is on the national side, not the local side, where those ballots were. And I've written a letter with a good number of my colleagues here from the state of Ohio saying that, look, what we want to do is keep our mail in Ohio. We also want to make sure that you have to go through these postal sorting centers every day before you close up shop to make sure that there aren't any ballots, et cetera, out there, because they have to be delivered ASAP. Because here in the state of Ohio, our Secretary of State, back in our primary, asked the postal system to not allow our mail to leave the state, keep it here. And lo and behold, I thought things were under control when I started to notice that mail was being delivered faster. Then I looked at a postmark, it was being sent to Cleveland for a temporary time. And so it's important to keep it here.
It really is. Now, talk about going into the general election and maybe precincts being open. Here in Kansas, we just had our primary a couple weeks ago, and I think things ran extremely smoothly with our Secretary of State and allowed us to go to the precinct and the safety measures for COVID-19. Going into the general, do you think Ohio is going to be able to do that and have access to that? Is it going to be open for precincts, or are many people pushing for mail-in ballots only?
No, we're going to do what we traditionally do in Ohio. Because we have people that have already said, look, I've always voted in person. I don't trust putting my ballot in the mail. I want to make sure my vote is counted. So we're going to have that. I think that we will have more people voting absentee in Ohio. The Secretary of State also said that, hey, look, we're going to have a drop box so people can actually drop your ballot in outside the Board of Election in our counties, so that people know that, it's going to get counted. But I think that's really important that, what the precautions are being taken. But one of the big things, I'm not sure, across the country, but here in Ohio, we have a lot of, our people are volunteers that are at our precincts for taking care of on Election Day. And we have to make sure that those people feel that it's safe to show up. And because that's one of the reasons our March primary is pushed back into the end of April this year, because there's this real fear of people just weren't going to show up to even be the precinct workers. So we have to make sure that those precinct workers feel that they're safe too. But I think with about less than 80 days to go, that these are reasons we got to make sure that things are done and they're done right.
We're talking with Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th Congressional District of Ohio. Let's talk about education. We're about ready to open up the public schools again here soon, and many are concerned about the spread of the virus within the schools. Talk about your district there. Are the schools feeling pretty safe? Do they have the safety measures in place? And are you guys talking about going only virtual classes in the district?
Well, it's the number one thing is we want safety first, safety last, safety always, especially when we're talking about our kids. And it's, a lot of schools have already said how they're going to open up and how the precautions they're going to have. The governor yesterday said that fall sports can continue, but there'll be fewer like high school football games. But it's really important that, parents know that their kids are safe and secure. But one of the things that we've seen from, when you look at the pediatric physicians and all of these boards saying that, most kids do better in a setting in a school. I know if I would be back in school in elementary school, I was a terrible student, and my 3 favorite times of the day were morning recess, lunch, and going home. And so the idea for me to not be in a classroom would have been pretty devastating on my learning experience. But some kids can do it. Some kids do very well at home. But there's a vast number of kids out there that will do well in school. So we want to make sure that the kids are protected. And I know in some some of the districts they're talking about how are kids going to get to school. And I know in one in particular, they said that high school kids are going to have to find another way to school because they'll just use the big yellow buses to transport the K through 8 kids, so they can keep the numbers down.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Last question before we let you go. I know you're busy, but as we go through this whole COVID pandemic, is there any chance of some type of COVID relief bill, a secondary stimulus check that may be going out to businesses or individuals, or is it so politicized and the Democrats have put their heels in the ground so deeply that we may not see anything come out of this?
Well, I think that, the Senate with McConnell, they said, look, they tried to negotiate with the Pelosi and the House Democrats. Again, Pelosi said it was no way or our way or the highway, take it or leave it, and then also saying that they were going to not have any bills, the bill being broken up, and here they are, we're going back on Saturday on this postal bill of theirs, which is, be totally partisan.
Sure.
So I would assume that, when we get back in September, that we'll see where we are. The president's trying to move forward using some dollars out there to, for payments maybe up to $300 a week. But we want to get people back to work and make sure that the economy keeps rolling along as we were before the pandemic hit.
Well, hopefully we continue to see some growth economically as well. Congressman Bob Latta, we appreciate the time very much, and we look forward to chatting with you again next month.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
There it is, Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District of Ohio. We appreciate his time very much. We'll get him back on in a month or so. We like to do about a monthly check-in with as many congressmen as we can. And now that we're starting to branch out, we're going to start getting more congressmen from different areas of the country on the program. But we appreciate him very much. Great guy. And we love that. Interesting talk, though. I don't know if you noticed it or not. It sounds like most places in the country are saying, yeah, we're going to have some absentee, we're going to have some mail-in ballots, but we're going to do our thing. We're going to open up precincts, and people are going to be able to show up to the polling places to actually go and vote. I think that's good news. Maybe, just maybe, we can salvage this election and not have the U.S. Postal Service be front and center discussion, because that could be a disaster, and we'll talk about why when we come back. It's the Voice of Reason. It's a Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us. One more segment coming up. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Reach out to the show. A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome into it. One segment left here on the Voice of Reason on a Wednesday. Thanks for hanging out with us no matter where you may be. Radio, TV, live streaming on the Podbean Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, HooserReason.com. We're all over. It doesn't really matter, but thanks for it. Appreciate it very much. We got some great conversations going on the Podbean live stream. We have some conversation going on. I've gotten some emails. We got some on Facebook. We got some chatter going on. That's a good thing. That's making you at least think just a little bit. And first off, we had a comment on the Podbean Live. Yes, I am getting gray hair. Thanks for noticing. And I had joked a couple of days ago about getting a haircut, and I did. Mrs. Voice of Reason did do the haircut, and I think it looks pretty snazzy. It's a little bit different, but I kind of enjoy it, and I may keep that around for a while. So let me know your thoughts on that. Andy, you're being so vain. I know. But by the way, I am getting gray hair because I have been paying attention to the Democrats for way too long, and the wife has noticed, and she has not let it down. So, which is cool. That's all right. Maybe, just maybe, people will pay attention to me more because, he's just a young, dumb, punk millennial kid. He don't know nothing. But now that I'm getting some gray hairs, maybe that'll make me a little more relatable, or at least more credible. Maybe. Also, the conversation on there as well stole my next topic as well going into this, because exactly where I wanted to go. The U.S. Postal Service, there's a lot of things going on here that we need to be aware of real quickly in the last few minutes of the show. We need to be aware that the U.S. Postal Service has been failing for a very long time. Barack Obama even mentioned it back in his race for the 2008 election, where he had talked about, you know what, yeah, FedEx is working, UPS is working, but the U.S. Postal Service, that's what's struggling. Why? Because it's a government program, and it doesn't run efficiently. And they've been talking about doing overhauls of the system for a long time. And why do you need additional machines if you don't need them? If mail is decreased, mailing has gone decreased for a while. It's starting to come back up again because people are ordering things online. So it's starting to turn out to be a big thing again. But at the same time, most of the time when you order packages, it usually comes through either FedEx or UPS, unless it's a smaller package, then USPS takes it. But we have to look at the other side of this as well, which is the public unions. Now imagine for a second, if you are doing terribly at your job and you want overhauls in the system, you're protected by a union, you cannot do your job properly, then the system looks like it's failing because it's a public union for a public entity like the U.S. Postal Service, and they're being told, by the way, to go a little bit slower, so that way we can cause awareness of, the system's broken, we need to sink more money into it. That's why Nancy Pelosi's calling all these congressmen and women back up to D.C. this week in order to vote on a U.S. Postal Service bill that's like $3 billion. It's ridiculous how much money is going to go into the Postal Service for a one-time thing. Now, usually, when they don't have enough money, they raise prices of stamps, and therefore they get more money because they want better pension plans or whatever, because it's got to be self-sufficient. It's not being run like a business. But imagine to yourself, if you will, close your eyes unless you're driving, and think about this for just a second, that you have a public union telling public union workers, that is the U.S. Postal Service, to not do your job properly because we have an election coming up, we need more money, we need more resources, we don't like what we have right now. And instead of just dealing with it like any other private business would and saying, we're going to adapt, you say, we want more money, and therefore we're just not going to do the job that we need to properly until we negotiate better terms and we get more money. You have a public union that could dismantle an election process if we go, as many people doing mail-in ballots is what we're anticipating going into this election. Think about that for a second. That's concerning to me. And I think we need to be aware that the unions are behind this as much as they are, because people don't talk about the unions. They don't talk about the education union. How many teachers unions right now are throwing a fit about teachers having to go back into the classroom during a pandemic because they're scared of the virus? But yet we don't talk about the unions. We hear about the stories of teachers being worried and concerned, and they don't want to. Here in Kansas, actually, if you drop out of your contract and quit right now, you had a time frame in which you could do that. You could pay the school district up to like $10,000 for them to have to find a replacement for you so close to the school year. I'm sure other school districts across the country are doing the same thing. But where is this all coming from? Who's talking in their ears right now? It's the public unions. Come on. Think about that. Tonight, Kamala Harris, the biggest speech of her entire life and of her entire career. All the media is focusing on her. Can she unite the Democrat Party with her prior 1 to 2 to 3% approval rating with her running for president? Can she be the one to rally the troops and bring the Democrat Party together, because Joe Biden just won't remember how to do it, and therefore the entire pressure lies on Kamala Harris. We'll see how that goes, and we'll recap it tomorrow on the show. What do you say? Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. This is the Voice of Reason podcast, going up a little bit. Make sure to tune in the rest of the week. We appreciate you very much, because we can't do what we do unless you do what you do. Stay reasonable, everybody. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.